Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum viewers. After a very long absence, I am with you again. The reason for the absence was some busy moments in the holy month of Ramadan, and I could not record the lectures. So I will resume my lectures right from where we discontinued our lectures. So we were talking about algebra, and few of the things you can also see on the board. We'll be writing algebraic expressions and applying the rules of algebra, and then we'll proceed towards the exercise. So let's start uh, the lecture for today. But before going to the lecture, I must uh, request you to please subscribe my channel if you have not subscribed is that yet, and don't forget to push the bell button. Let's start. Well, students, to just a little recap about the algebra. I was telling you about the basic conventions of the algebra and substitution for the values of letter. You might have remember those all these things, and the indices or the index laws. Just to recap the following, I must tell you that suppose if it is written like this, x plus 5 is equal to 10. So we have to find the value of x, or we will have to substitute it. And if it is also given that if x is equal to 2. Now what we do here, we'll just bring this. You see that we are going to do it like this, and we will find that x is equal to 5. Or inversely, if we can say that if x is equal to 5, then find the value of any expression which is written below. Now we have to substitute 5 instead of x. So what we do, x, we write first the numbers x, then we just x plus 10 is equal. Now this is our expression. Now we'll have to substitute the value of x at each place. You see that 5 plus 5, then again 5 plus 15, 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 15, and is equal to 25. Now we have simply substituted the value of 5 and come across the number of 25. Then we were doing some index. You see that it is written like this. If it is written like this, then what I told you was that if bases are same, now these are the bases, and you can see a multiplication sign in between each of the digits. So what we do, we just simply count them, or we just write one base, and that is 2. And you know that all the 2's carries 1 power. So what we do, we just add all the powers together. And we write it in this form. Okay, so this was the indices. power and indices. Now we'll have to write the algebraic expressions. So here in your book, an example is given, and I'm going to follow that very example. Suppose the average height in centimeters of students in your class is an unknown number. Average height in centimeters of your class, the students of your class in centimeters is an unknown number. A student who is 10 centimeter taller. So like we just suppose what is the height, what is the number of height. We just suppose what is the unknown number, and the number is, suppose h is the height of the students, and don't just miss that h is in centimeters. H is in centimeters. We will write the units of the height here, which is already given. The thing which is not given is the height, and we have supposed that height is equal to h. We can also write it x. We can also write it y. It is not a hard and fast rule that we have to write h over here or l over here. You can write x, y, z, anything over here, but you see that h something, how or other corresponds with the height. So we have written it as h. Now, what is the second phrase? A student who is 10 centimeter taller than average would have height of h plus 10. Now, there is a student. Now, this height is the average height. Now, the student which is 10 centimeters 10 centimeters 10 centimeter taller, we said that h plus 10 centimeter. Now this is the average height. Let us say that in centimeters, students was 175. The This is the average height of the student, h. This is for example. Now if I add plus 10 centimeter, it will become 185, or if I just subtract, it will become 165. So according to the second phrase, a student who is 10 centimeter taller than average would have height of a student who is 3 centimeters shorter. Now there is a student which is 3 centimeter shorter. Now there is a student which is 3 centimeter uh, 3 centimeters shorter. There is a student which is 10 centimeter taller. The average height is h, and we have to find the h. Now you see that h plus 10 and h plus 3 are the algebraic expressions, and which are given in h because it is height. As I told you, we can use x, y, z, whatsoever variable you want to select is, you can use any variable, but h corresponds some way or another with height. So h plus 10 and h minus 3 are the algebraic expressions which we have just produced with the help of the English expression or English paragraph or English information. We will convert English information into mathematical information, and to convert the English information into mathematical information is called the, you can see that it is written in this way. Now there is a work example, and in this work example, use algebra to write an expression in terms of h for a height 12 centimeters shorter than average. Now what does he say? That you have to write in age a height. Now this is an average height. This is an average height. Now we have to write a height which is 12 centimeters shorter than the average height. Now this is the whole expression. H is the average height, 12 centimeter. You see that we have just put a subtraction sign in from the average. Now this is the average height, and we are lesser than average height by 12 centimeter. So we write h minus 12. Now there is an interesting example, and an example is the height, a height which is 2x taller than the average height. We have already assigned average height as h. So what we do here, we just write h, and we'll write 2x beside it, and we can put a multiplication sign over here also. But in later stage I'll tell you that we will just omit the useless signs like multiplication sign, and mostly the multiplication sign is omitted in algebra. How? I am going to tell you in my next topic, which is upcoming topic. Now you see that this was the height 2x 2x more than the height of the average height. Now the upcoming example says twice the height of twice the average height. Now what we do is twice. Now twice the height is like this. Twice the height is like this. You can write it like this. Now we'll proceed to the rules of the algebra. Applying the rules. Now how will be applying the rules? Just focus on the lecture. Now the first rule, what does it says? That the first rule, we have to write the algebraic expression in the shortest, simplest possible way. Now I just told you that 2 multiplied by x, 2 multiplied by x, we will have to omit this multiplication sign from here, because when two consecutive things are written, 2 and then h are written, it means that there is a multiplication sign in between them. It is understood that the 2 is being multiplied by age. The 2 is being multiplied by age, so we don't have to write this multiplication sign. Similarly, if it is written like this, x multiplied by y, we have to write it xy. It means that a multiplication sign exists in between the two, which we have omitted for our convenience. And the second thing, we don't use x sign because we don't use multiplication sign for the reason, there is a one more reason for not using the multiplication sign, that this multiplication sign resembles to the most commonly used variable, and that is x. Sometimes students, what do students do? They write x like this. There is no harm in writing x like this, but you see that it will just mess up with this sign. It will mess up with this sign. So there are two reasons that it is. We understand that multiplication sign is already written in between the two. Multiplication sign is already written in between the two, so we have omitted it. The second rule. The second rule says that now if you see that if it is a variable is written, if a single variable is written without any coefficient over here or over here, whatsoever written at the left side, this is the left hand side of this variable. So whatsoever is written over here is called the coefficient of this. So if and only if 1 is written over here, so what in general practice we write 1h. No, this is wrong, because it is understood that if nothing is written at the left hand side of the age or any variable, it is 1. It is 1. Third rule. And the third rule is, just as multiplication, if this is like written like this, 2 divided by age, so we don't use this symbol over here as well. Like as multiplication, we just go to 2 divided by h. We write it in this form, or we write like, if it is in terms of x and y, we do it like this, not like this. Okay, not like this. These signs are omitted in algebra. Now one thing more, when we have to show the product, for example, we have to show the product of any number, that is 3 into x. Remember what I told you, that we don't use multiplication sign. Number one, that we don't use multiplication sign. Now you see that this multiplication sign is just messing up with this x sign, so we don't have to write it in this fashion. Okay, Now what we do is we write it like this, 3x. Now there is one more thing, that we don't write this 3 after x. We don't write this 3 after x. We don't write it like this. Though, as per our uh, this rule, x is being multiplied by 3, but we don't do it like this. Okay? We always follow this rule. We just put the coefficient first, then the variable. Coefficient first, then the variable. Not the variable first and then the coefficient. Okay? Now there is a rule for power, base and power. Now I have already told you in my this lecture that if it is written like this, h multiplied by h multiplied by h, what does it mean? It means that when the bases are same, you have to write the sum of the powers over here. So it will become h raised to power 3. Now this thing, what is here is called power, and this is called the base. Okay, you can also call it index. So it is called cube, and if it is written like this, if it is written like this, it will be h raised to power 2, and this 2 will be called square. Square, cube, and there is no short form for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are only two short forms, square, cube, power, or you can also say index, index or power, and the plural of index is indices. Now very important rule is coming up over here. Now a very important rule, and if it is written like this, 5a square. Now this square, this one, this square is only for this variable, not for the 5. Yes, if it is written in between the brackets like this, 5a square, then this square means that it is applied to the both of the things, which is variable and coefficient over here. Now what does it mean? It means 25a square, 25a square in this example. But for this it will remain as it is 5a square, because this a is, this square is the index of the base a only. This square is the index of the base a only, but in this case, because it is enclosed in the bracket, therefore it is applied to all the base, that is 5a. Now here the base is 5a, but here the base is only a. So you have to uh, keep, so you have to be vigilant in solving such questions like this. So these are the two rules which were the final rules of the algebra. Well, students, these were some of the rules which we have to apply in our exercises, in upcoming exercises, and when we proceed in these exercises, we will learn some more rules about algebra. Now, there are some examples. Now we will have some examples to solve. Now example is a number 4 times. Write an expression in terms of x. Write an expression. Write an expression in terms of x. In terms of x. Now we are bound to write the expression in terms of x only. No y, no x, no y, no age, no z, no nothing, but only x. Okay. So what we have to write is a number 4 times. A number 4 times. So you see, 4 times mean 4 multiplied by x. And in the first rule, I told you that we have to omit the multiplication sign. So we just write an x besides 4. It means 4 multiplied by x. 4 multiplied by x, or 4 times x. This is very simple now, isn't it? The next is the sum of the number and 5. Okay, the sum of the number x and 5. Now this is the number, the variable which is given us already in the example. So number and 5, these are the sum. You can also write it in this way: 5 plus x. But I like this one. Now it says that 6 times the number. Now listen carefully. 6 times the number minus 2. 6 times the number. 6 times the number is like this. Just we written 4 times the number. 6 times the number minus 6. Minus 2. Minus 2. Okay. 6 times the number minus 2. Now this is the whole expression which were asked. Half the number. Now similarly, just we omitted a multiplication sign from here. We omitted a multiplication sign from here. We'll omit the division sign from here. Like x is the number. Now x is the number, and we have to do it like this. No, we'll just write x divided by 2. Okay, x divided by 2. So my dear students, we'll be starting a fresh exercise in our next lecture. So it's time to say you goodbye. Allah Hafiz.